And welcome to the Note Buyers Academy. I believe that this is going to be the best academy that we've ever had. My goal is that you close a deal within the next 90 days. Practicing later, I'm fine with that. But I don't want anybody to be lost and not get help if they want it. Marcus?
Just so I'm clear, you're putting $78,000 in future value because that's the money that you're getting.
Yes.
From the sale.
That's correct. You put $78,000 into FV because that's the amount that you collected. So what we're looking at here, remember I said to calculate your rate of return, you put how much you invested, how much you received, and you solve for your I for your interest rate. So you invested $60,000, including all of your costs, so that goes into PV. And you collected 80, goes into N, payments of $900 each. And then you immediately collected $78,000 when you sold it. So that's got all your money out, and it's got all your money in, and you solve for I, and that gives you a rate of return of 20%. Yes. That's your yield to maturity. So it's an annual rate of 20%. It used to be that you had to manually divide out the interest rate by 12 and all of that. But now that's why you have to go in ahead of time and set it for 12 payments per year, and so then it will calculate that for you. If you're using an older calculator, you have to account for that. But that is 20% annually. Lisa? Let David give you the mic.
Are you able to calculate your return on investment if you used a hard money loan for the original $60,000? Are you able to put in your interest rate on that loan and calculate that additionally?
Okay. So, yes, you could. And what you would do is, if you're making monthly payments on this $60,000, so let's say your monthly payment on the $60,000 is $600 every month. So your net that you receive is $300. So you would put $300 into payment and then solve for your rate of return. But then one could argue that if you borrowed the money, it's an infinite rate of return, but it depends on how you look at things. But yeah, I mean, anytime that you're using other people's money, you don't have any money invested. But okay, any questions on that? So how do you calculate the payoff on a loan? We did touch on this before. Does anybody want to take a venture on this? Go ahead. We need a microphone, please. We'll see if James will erase that from the video.
I said it's just the payment plus the future value.
Please say that again. I'm sorry.
It's the payment plus the future value is the payoff on the loan.
That is exactly right.
Due the day.
Exactly right. You can have a card. I'm sorry. If I don't make myself do this, I'm going to wind up with another one of those spells, and I don't like that. This truly is just honey. What was so frustrating this morning is he brought me honey and a fork. And I'm looking at this and I'm going, I need a spoon. And then I went, never mind. Okay. So, as Lisa said, you enter the original terms, you enter the number of payments that were made, and then you solve for FV. And then you add the amount that's in FV to the last payment to get the actual payoff. So, using the same example, let's say that after 29 months, the borrower tells you that he's going to pay off the loan next month. Next month. Okay? So we have $100,000 negative PV. The loan was at 9.5% with payments of $900. How much should he write the check for? So next month would be 30. So after 30 payments have been made, he would still owe $96,347.83. So to calculate the payoff, the amount that he needs to write the check for, add $900 to that balloon, and his payoff check should be $96,347.83. Okay? Did everybody come up with that? I'm sorry? Why did we add 900? Okay. When FV is the remaining amount owed immediately after, in this case, receiving 30 payments of $900. So when he comes in and he's writing his $900 check for that 30th payment, he still owes $96,347. So if he's going to write one check, you add it together, and that's the payoff. Okay.
Because that's the amount at the end of the month.
It's as soon as he gives you $900 on that day, he still owes that much money. If he waits 10 days, then he's got 10 days of daily interest that he owes you on that unpaid balance. Any other questions? Okay, so now we're going to calculate the balloon payment. How do you calculate a balloon payment? Anybody want to explain this? Go for it. Let's get a microphone.
You put in everything, how many payments they've made, and then it's future value.
Yes, you can have a card. So you're going to enter the term of the balloon into N, enter the original terms, the interest rate, the amount of the original loan, which would be present value, and the payment. And then you solve for FV. So in the same example, how do you calculate a 10-year balloon? If you think about it, a 10-year balloon is simply what's the current balance after 120 payments. Same thing. So you're using that same exact process as if you're calculating a current balance. So you have your negative 100,000, the amount money that was loaned, out of pocket, so it's negative. The interest rate was 9.5. You're collecting monthly payments of you're collecting 120 monthly payments of $900. And after you have collected that 120th payment, they would still owe you $78,432.93. Okay? So if they're going to pay you off, it would be $900 plus $78,432.93. That, I think, is one of the most confusing things about notes that I see people making the biggest mistake on, because it just seems natural that whatever's on the tail end would be paid the following month. I mean, doesn't it seem like that's the way it ought to be? But if you did that, you would be losing out on a whole month's interest for whatever's left over there. So that's why that does not work. So now that you have an understanding of how to calculate the various components of a note, you're going to want to get organized. I'm an organization freak, in case you didn't notice it. And so our next section, it was frustrating for me when I first started. I'm not kidding you. I would have a whole stack of legal sheets with all these different calculations on it. And then you get on the phone and you're talking to somebody and you're ruffling through the papers and you don't, which one was that? Was it this one? Was it, no, here I was doing this. And so it made me feel foolish and unprepared and unprofessional. And I thought, I got to get ahead of the game because I'm dealing with pros here. I'm dealing with people who've been in the business for years. How can I get on the same level as them? I thought, okay, I'm gonna do all my calculations ahead of time. Okay, so I'm going to know that if they say a 10% yield, that it's going to be about that much money. And so what happened was I took all these papers and I devised a form to use. And as long as I used that format, I mean, it was amazing. It gave me power when I was talking on the phone. Like it made me look like I knew what I was doing and like I was just, oh, man, she got that number so quick. Yeah, because I'd already written it out on the paper. It's right there. Thank God, And so I made up this form, and it makes a tremendous difference in your ability to negotiate with people. Not to mention, the other thing it does, I do 4 steps, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. We'll do this after the break. And it allows you to catch any mistakes. Like, it bothered me that I would sit there and calculate, and I don't really know what I'm doing. This is 25 years ago, more than that. And what if I made a mistake? How would I know that I made a mistake? And so I set up these 4 steps, and inevitably, whenever I don't do all 4 steps, I forgot the negative sign, or I punched the wrong number, and that's the only time I make a mistake is if I don't do the 4 steps. Because if you do the 4 steps, you catch anything that's off, and you know to go back and check it. And I'll wait until we get on it so you can see how that works. But why don't, are our cookies out? I think I see cookies over there. Anybody care for a cookie? Let's take a quick 15-minute break, and then when we come back, we're going to do the evaluation worksheet. Okay? What makes the academy are the people who come. Okay, thank you.